Get out of my face. You're a waiter, not a damn manager. The plate slipped from my hand. Crash. Glass exploded across the polished marble tiles like the silence that fell afterward, sharp, cutting, and echoing through every corner of the room. The laughter died. Forks froze in midair. And he was still pointing at me, his finger trembling, not from fear, but from arrogance. I clenched my jaw. My hand bled, but I didn't care. I looked up at him, at the man in the Armani suit who just humiliated me in front of everyone, clients, staff, even my little sister who had come to surprise me at work for my birthday. She saw it all. His name is Marcus Delroy. The owner's son. Entitled. Rich. Spoiled to the marrow. He's the kind of man who calls people by their job titles instead of their names. The kind who tips with coins and expects a bow in return. And today was the day he picked me to explode on. You think you can talk back just because you've been here 6 years? Because the customers like you? His voice was cold, venomous. You're a joke. You wipe tables. That's all you'll ever do. I took one step toward him. Not because I had something to prove. But because something inside me snapped. You're right, I said slowly, blood dripping onto the floor. I wipe tables. I refill water. I clean up messes. I looked him in the eye. Like the one you just made. There was a beat. The air shifted. His jaw tensed. And then, he shoved me. Hard. I stumbled back, hit the table behind me, and knocked over a full tray of drinks. Liquid soaked my shirt. Ice scattered. My sister screamed. But before I could even steady myself, he grabbed my collar. His breath hit my face, laced with whiskey and ego. You want to act like a man? Then fight like one. I didn't even think. My fist moved before my brain did. Crack. His lip split open, and he went flying across the booth, crashing into a half-eaten steak. Gasps echoed around us. Someone screamed. Another pulled out their phone. I didn't stop. 6 years of swallowing disrespect. 6 years of hey waiter, clean that, yes sir, no ma'am, right away. 6 years of watching the same arrogant men pat my back in front of clients and call me a good boy behind closed doors. I charged him again. He swung wildly and missed. I grabbed his coat, dragged him up, and shoved him against the wall. You walk in here like you own the world, I growled. But you didn't build a damn thing. Your father did. You're just a tourist in someone else's empire. Security finally rushed in. Arms wrapped around my chest, yanking me back. Marcus was sobbing now, yes, actually sobbing. Bloodied. Disheveled. Weak. But he still screamed through tears. You're done. You hear me? You're nothing. I'll have you fired by tonight. I didn't even flinch. I just stared him down. I've been fired before. But you? You've never been humbled. That's why you're shaking now. They dragged me out through the front door. My sister ran after me, crying. I could hear whispers from the crowd behind me, guests and staff alike. Some shocked. Some smiling. Marcus might have thrown the first shove. But I threw the first truth. And that? That hit harder than any punch. You want to know what started all this? It wasn't just about a plate. Or a shove. Or even about Marcus. It was about respect. It was about a man who spent 6 years doing everything right, never late, never lazy, always polite, and still got treated like dirt because I wore an apron and not a Rolex. It was about a man who gave his best every single day and got ignored like wallpaper. And it was about that moment when he stood in front of me, wagging his finger like I was beneath him, when I finally realized. People like him don't stop unless someone makes them. Later that night, I got the call. HR. I was suspended. Indefinitely. But what Marcus didn't know, what nobody knew, was that just 2 days earlier, I had gotten another call. A much quieter one. From the owner himself. Mr. Delroy Sr. And he didn't call me because I was a waiter. He called me because I saved his company from a major lawsuit a month earlier. I caught a major health code violation before a health inspector walked in. I'd written up the report, trained the staff, and stayed overnight fixing it without asking for credit. He told me on the phone, "You've got vision. I'm thinking of stepping back soon. Come see me Monday morning." So yeah. Marcus may have humiliated me in front of the crowd. But he had no idea. In less than 48 hours, I'd be sitting across from his father, with a promotion letter in my hand. And a new title beside my name. Director of Operations. But we'll get to that. Right now, I was standing outside the restaurant I'd given 6 years of my life to. Shirt soaked. Knuckles bruised. Sister crying. I should have felt broken. But for the first time in years, I felt something else. Free. Because when you spend your life being quiet to survive, sometimes the only way to be heard is to make noise. Loud, honest, fearless noise. And I wasn't done speaking yet. The next morning, I showed up anyway. No apron. No tray. No fake smile plastered on my face. Just a clean shirt, my old sneakers, and a copy of my suspension notice folded in my back pocket, the ink still fresh, the signature still smug. As I walked in, heads turned. Some whispered. Some smiled, the kind of smile people wear when they secretly wish they'd done what you did. A few looked away, ashamed they hadn't stood up when Marcus lost control. I didn't care. I wasn't here for applause. I was here for Monday. Upstairs, the office hall was quiet. Carpeted floors. Dim light. A very different world from the kitchen chaos below. I'd been here only once before, when I got promoted to floor supervisor last year. And even then, I was told not to sit, just take the pin, nod, and leave. But today? I was sitting. "Come in," came the voice from behind the thick wooden door. I stepped inside. Mr. Delroy Sr. didn't look up right away. He was still reading something. Glasses on the bridge of his nose, fingers calmly turning pages. He was nothing like his son. Where Marcus was loud and proud, this man was quiet and sharp. The kind of silence that made you want to confess. "You hit my son," he said finally, still not looking up. "Yes, sir." "You broke his lip." "Yes, sir." "You threw the first punch?" "No, sir." "He shoved me first." Finally, he looked up. And smiled. "You're still honest, even when it could cost you everything. That's rare." I didn't know what to say. So I stayed quiet. He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit down, Elijah." I sat. He leaned back in his chair, folding his fingers. "I've been watching you for a while. You work harder than anyone on that floor. You know people's birthdays. You cover shifts no one wants. You treat dishwashers the same way you treat VIP clients. That's leadership. My son, he doesn't see it. He doesn't know how to look beneath the surface. He only sees power when it walks in wearing designer shoes." His voice grew quieter. "And maybe that's my fault." He stood up, walked to the window. "I built this company with everything I had. From one small cafe in Queens to 27 locations across the country. I didn't do it with investors. I did it with people. People like you. And now that I'm retiring," he turned back to me. "I need someone who understands what real value looks like." My heart pounded. "You offered me something last week," I said. "A promotion." He nodded. "Does that still stand, after what happened?" He didn't even hesitate. "It does. But now it comes with a second task." "What task?" He leaned forward, dead serious. "Help me fix what my son broke." By Wednesday, I was back. Not behind the counter, but at the head of the table in the staff meeting room. Nameplate in front of me. Employees all around. Some confused, some proud, some skeptical. And Marcus? Nowhere to be seen. That didn't last long. He stormed in mid-meeting, shades still on. Indoors, jaw slightly bruised, and ego fully intact. "You've got to be kidding me," he spat, pointing at me. "This is a joke, right? Tell me this is a joke." I stood up. Calm. Clear. "This is not a joke, Marcus. As of this week, I've been appointed Director of Operations for this branch and 2 others. And you're no longer permitted to walk into the kitchen, dining floor, or back office without clearance. You can't do that." I just did. He looked around for support. Found none. Then he laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "So this is your revenge? You get one lucky meeting with my dad and suddenly you think you're better than me?" I walked toward him. Slowly. "This isn't about revenge. This is about leadership. You thought breaking people made you strong. But strength is lifting others up when no one's watching. You wouldn't last one shift in that kitchen. Try me," he hissed. I smiled. "Gladly. Tomorrow morning. You wear the apron." He blinked. "What? You said I'm just a waiter. So be one. Just for a day. Let's see what kind of man you are when no one's clapping." And to everyone's shock, he agreed. I wasn't trying to embarrass him. I was trying to save him. Even he didn't know it yet. The next day was a storm. Marcus showed up late. Couldn't figure out how to punch in. Burned his first plate. Snapped at a customer and had to apologize. But something started to change. By lunch, he wasn't yelling anymore. By dinner, he asked one of the older cooks how to clean the grill. By closing time, he sat on the back step, shirt drenched, hands shaking, and finally looked at me like I was human. "I don't know how you did this for 6 years," he whispered. I sat beside him. Quiet. Then he asked the one question I never thought I'd hear from him. "Why didn't you quit?" I looked out into the night. Because my little sister was watching. I wanted her to see that even if the world calls you small, you can still walk tall. He nodded. And for the first time, he didn't argue. But don't get me wrong. This isn't a perfect story. Marcus still has a lot to learn. And I'm still just getting started. But the lesson? It's simple. Power means nothing if you don't know how to treat people. Respect isn't earned by title, it's earned by how you show up when no one's looking. And the people you overlook today might just be your boss tomorrow. Things were going smooth. Too smooth. The dining floor was humming, staff morale was higher than I'd ever seen it, and Marcus, well, he wasn't perfect, but he was quiet. Observant. Even cracked a joke or two during prep. I thought maybe, just maybe, the worst was behind us. Until I opened the company's finance dashboard late one Friday. And my stomach dropped. $27,000 gone. Moved to a consulting expense account I'd never seen before. The transaction was masked, routed through a vendor that didn't exist. Only one person had the override code to approve that kind of move. Marcus. I stared at the screen for a long time. Heart pounding, jaw clenched. He was doing it again. Playing nice while robbing the place blind. I could have called Mr. Delroy that night. But I didn't. I printed the report, took a screenshot, then sat alone at the back of the restaurant after close, lights off, laptop open. Waiting. He always came back after midnight. Said it helped him think. Said he liked the silence. When he walked in, I didn't even look up. You lied to me. His footsteps stopped cold. Then, slowly, he approached. What are you talking about? I turned the laptop toward him. He went pale. And I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. I just asked one question. Why? His voice cracked. I needed the money, all right? My accounts were frozen. I had a thing going with these guys' real estate flips, investments. I stood. You stole from the place that feeds you. I was trying to fix it. No. You were trying to win without doing the work. Again. He tried to come closer. I backed away. This was your chance, Marcus. Your chance to be something more than your last name. I fought for you when everyone else gave up. And this is what you do with that trust? He looked like he might cry. I didn't feel sorry. You're done here, I said. I'll tell your father in the morning. But that wasn't the twist. Not yet. That came when he laughed. A bitter, mocking laugh. You really think he doesn't know? I blinked. What? Marcus stepped forward, eyes glinting in the dark. You think I'd move that kind of money without telling him? My dad let it happen. Said we needed to shift some weight before tax season. Said you were getting too comfortable. Said it'd be a good test. My blood ran cold. You're lying. He shrugged. Call him. Find out. I dare you. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling of my apartment, thinking back on every conversation, every handshake, every promise from Mr. Delroy. It all felt tainted now. Like the strings had been pulled from the start, like I was just another pawn in a father-son game I never asked to play. I didn't call him. Not yet. Instead, I walked back into work the next day like nothing happened. Greeted everyone. Did the schedule. Answered emails. Then I requested a meeting. With the board. You don't get many chances to speak truth to power. But when you do, you better not flinch. I stood in a glass conference room, facing 7 executives and 2 silent Delroys. The father. The son. Both watching. Both unreadable. I passed copies of the finance report around. Then I told them everything. Not just the theft. Not just the betrayal. But the culture of fear. The abuse. The manipulation. How good people had been broken under Marcus's rule, and how even now, even with a title, I was still fighting ghosts they'd left behind. When I was done, the room was silent. One board member finally spoke. We've known about the discrepancies. We assumed Marcus was operating under oversight. I looked straight at Mr. Delroy. No one was watching. His jaw tightened. But he didn't deny it. 2 days later, Marcus was removed. Quietly. Without drama. Just a memo that he was stepping away indefinitely. And Mr. Delroy? He called me into his office one last time. I didn't think you'd go that far, he said. You really think the board trusts you? I don't care if they trust me. I care if the staff does. He nodded slowly. Then it's yours. I blinked. What is? He slid a folder across the table. The regional division. All 7 branches. Full control. I'm stepping down earlier than planned. I need someone who isn't afraid to fight. Even when it's ugly. I stared at the folder. Then at him. You used me. He didn't argue. I taught you. I left that room a different man. Not proud. Not angry. Just clear. Power is ugly. It changes people. But it also reveals them. And in that moment, I finally understood. Sometimes you don't win by beating the system. You win by surviving it and changing it from the inside. He came back. 2 months after he was removed. Just walked into the restaurant like nothing had changed. No announcement. No warning. Just the same designer jacket, the same smug walk, and that same fake smile like the world owed him an apology for forgetting who he was. The room froze when they saw him. But me? I didn't flinch. Because by now, I had rebuilt the place from the inside out. Marcus didn't recognize half the faces. I'd brought in new chefs, promoted the dishwasher who worked like a machine, gave the waitstaff bonuses out of my own earnings, and made it clear, no one rises here by stepping on someone else. He looked around like a stranger in his own graveyard. I need to talk, he said, eyes darting nervously. I led him to the walk-in fridge, the one place I knew we could talk without eyes or ears. A quiet, icy tomb where truths couldn't hide. You've got 5 minutes, I said. He didn't waste a second. Dad cut me off. I said nothing. I lost everything. The deals went bad, the car's gone, they pulled the apartment last week. I got nowhere else to go. Still, I waited. He stepped forward, voice cracking. I was wrong, all right? I messed up. But you don't get it. I was raised like this. I didn't know how to lose until I lost everything. And then, the line I'll never forget. You've already won. Just, let me work here. Even if it's the grill. Please. The Marcus who had once barked orders and humiliated cooks now stood there, hands shaking, begging for a job most people would walk past without a second glance. And I'd be lying if I said a part of me didn't enjoy it. But the truth? I didn't feel joy. Or triumph. Or even pity. I just felt tired. I don't need a grill cook, I said quietly. But I need someone to clean bathrooms on weekend nights. It's $17 an hour. No tips. You start tomorrow if you want it. His face twisted. You're serious? Dead serious. He stared at me like I'd punched him in the gut. Then he muttered something under his breath, I think it was pathetic, and stormed out. That was the last I saw of him. But it wasn't the last time his name came up. 3 weeks later, I got a call from a rehab center on the edge of town. Marcus had checked in under a fake name, but someone recognized him. Said he listed me as an emergency contact. I drove there that night. He didn't ask for money. Didn't even ask for forgiveness. He just said, I'm trying to be the person you were when I hated you most. I didn't speak. I just nodded, left him a box of decent clothes, and walked away. It's funny how the story flips, isn't it? The same hands that once threw me out of the kitchen were now scraping plates in silence, learning what it meant to work not to win, but just to show up. And as for me? I didn't celebrate. I didn't post about it. I didn't tell anyone the full truth. Because this wasn't about vengeance. This was about balance. Sometimes the universe doesn't punish people when you want it to. Sometimes it waits. But when it strikes, it doesn't miss. They say revenge is sweet. But that's not true. Revenge is loud. Chaotic. It burns hot and dies fast. But justice? Justice is patient. Quiet. It doesn't need applause or announcements. It just waits, and arrives exactly when it's supposed to. And that's what I saw happen to Marcus. Slowly. Silently. One consequence at a time. But let me be honest with you, this was never about seeing him fall. It was about remembering who I was when he tried to erase me. Because when he humiliated me in front of that kitchen, when he shoved my dreams into the dirt and told me I'd never rise, I believed him. I actually believed I didn't matter. That's the real damage toxic people do. They don't just steal your opportunities. They steal your sense of self. But here's what they never count on. Resilience. See, you can bury a seed under concrete, but that doesn't mean it's dead. Give it time. Give it just enough sunlight and rain, and one day, it'll break through the pavement and remind everyone watching I was never gone. I was growing. Today, this restaurant doesn't have his name on the door anymore. It has mine. But more importantly, It has respect built into the walls. It has second chances behind the counter. And it has real stories written in every hand that helped build it. There's a woman in the kitchen now, Maria, who cried on her first day because someone finally let her cook without yelling. She's my head chef. There's a teenage busboy, Kenny, who works 3 jobs to help his mom pay rent. I gave him a raise and told him he never has to choose between family and dignity. And there's a little photo on the back wall of the first teen we built after Marcus left. No filters. No fancy lighting. Just honest faces. Real people. People who were once overlooked, underpaid, and silenced. Now they're the heart of this place. And me? I'm still the guy who got screamed at in front of a kitchen full of strangers. But I'm also the guy who never screamed back. Because the loudest thing you can ever say is success. Let me leave you with this. If someone's trying to crush you right now in your job, in your family, in your dreams, I want you to hear this like it's written in your bones. You don't have to fight the way they fight. You don't have to become what hurt you. You just have to keep building. Keep growing. Keep showing up. Because the day will come when the people who doubted you will have to sit and watch everything they tried to destroy stand taller than ever. And you won't have to lift a finger. Because karma never forgets. She just takes her time.